So how could we now update this expenses array whenever a new expense is being added? Well, for this we need to go to app.js because that is where we have this expenses array. There we also have this addExpenseHandler function, which we added in the last course section, which is triggered whenever a new expense is added. And we even receive the expense as a parameter here. So all we gotta do is we have to add this expense to this expenses array. But of course, if we just add it like this, nothing would happen because you already learned that just because you change some variable, React won't update the component. Instead, to achieve that, you need to use state. And therefore here in app.js, where we manage our expenses, we now want to import use state from React so that we can register some state here. And I will actually grab this array here, this constant, and extract it out of this component function and instead store it here and name it initial expenses or dummy expenses, since that's what it is, so that this actually is just some dummy data which we can use to initialize our state with. But then inside of the app component function, we call use state, and I'll pass my dummy expenses, so this array full of dummy data, as an initial state value, so that we have some initial expenses to display. But then here we can again use destructuring, as I showed it to you in the last section, to get access to our expenses and to the setExpenses state updating function. And now that we got this here in the addExpenseHandler, where we want to add a new expense, we can call setExpenses to set our expenses array to a new array which includes this new expense. So how should we update this? Well, we could pass a new array here, and then let's say we want to add the new expense as the first item in the array. For that, we could add the expense which we're getting here as an item to this array, and then use the spread operator on the existing expenses to pull out all the existing array elements and populate the rest of this new array with those existing elements. We can use the spread operator not just on objects, but also on arrays. And again, that's not a React feature, that's a standard JavaScript feature. However, if we would update the state like this, it would not really be correct, as you learned in the last course section. Instead, if you update your state depending on the previous state or the previous snapshot of this state, you should use this special function form for this state updating function, so that we pass a function as an argument to this state updating function, and that function will automatically receive the latest state snapshot. So here we would then get our previous expenses automatically by React, and we would return our new array where we add this expense, which we're getting as a parameter here, and where we then add our previous expenses with that spread operator. And that's the clean way of updating our state when it's based on an older snapshot of that same state. Now with that, we add our new expense, and now since we're using our expenses state here to pass it to expenses, we should automatically have a dynamic list which automatically updates when items are added. So if we now add a book for 29.99 and pick some date here, we see that being added here as a first item. So this is working, and now this is a truly dynamic list by using state and by outputting these items with this map method. And that's how you output lists of data dynamically with React. Now let's have a look at this key warning and what that is all about.